I find that I often become bored with my Minecraft worlds. Playing for a month or two, getting all the best gear, building the same house before, I give up, and I restart in a brand new world, over and over. So, to try and solve this and challenge myself, I will be surviving an entire year on one Minecraft world, slowly updating the game as the year progresses. For the month of May, I played on the 1.7 and 1.8 updates. 1.7, or the update that changed the world, added improved world generation, which added new biomes, trees, flowers, and more. I've been waiting until this update to explore outside of my main map, so now that it's here, I started exploring. I went east where I found the horses last month and pretty quickly found new chunks. There were acacia trees, sunflowers, horses, and my favorite structure, the desert temple. The loot was garbage, except for some horse armor. I tamed a dog and then I continued to explore. I found a pretty flower forest hill and lost my horse while I was collecting flowers. I just couldn't find him. I got a new horse and then I kept exploring. The new terrain is so hilly compared to the old generation, which I kinda don't like. The old generation was relatively flat with some big standalone mountains, but the new generation has these enormous hills which are not very interesting and just kind of annoying. I passed by the old snow heart base and checked in with the housekeeper. Then I just continued riding through the forest and... ugh. That was close, I almost landed in that lava. I got out and I walked to the end of the road and then took the minecart home. I got back, put away my spoils, and I tried to make a map wall, but they won't align. Very annoying. And I need a new horse. Again. RIP Max and the Flower Forest horse and the Ravine horse. I'm sure the next one definitely won't die or get lost. I took a break and did some research on the maps. Turns out you have to create one the right distance away from the center of the old one for them to align. So I went out exploring and I filled in the right map. Found a mesa and a desert temple, well, and village all right next to each other. I looped back and got myself a horse named Austin. Then I finished filling in the map. There's this cool ocean ridge on a chunk border that I walked along, and then I stopped at this dark oak, jungle, and mesa cliff cove. I set up a little camp and then chopped down some dark oak. I saw an ocelot and I wanted to tame one, so I went to the desert to kill spiders for some string, for a fishing rod, to fish. I sat down in the cove and did some peaceful, relaxing fishing. It's the first time I've done this in the world, and it's kinda nice. Very peaceful. When I got enough fish, I went out to tame a cat, but when I did, it just gave hearts and didn't tame. I thought maybe you have to breed 2 of them for a cat, so I went out on a wild goose chase and wound up in the ocean before it dawned on me, maybe the cats just aren't in the game yet. I filled out the rest of the east map and then started on the new center map. I put them both up on the wall and they aligned perfectly. Hooray! I could do more, but I've discovered all the biomes I really want to, and I'm kind of burnt out on map making for now. And I'm sure you guys don't want to watch me fill out maps for the whole episode. So I went down to the grove while I thought about what to do next. Also, I finally got that full double chest of logs that I wanted last month. I was still deciding what to do, so I made this acacia plaza because I felt like it. I think it's pretty neat, but it'll probably be useless. I found out they have big spruce trees now too, which is great because I love building the spruce and now I can easily get boatloads of it. I mined it up and then I decided that I want to clean up this refugee camp, which means building a doghouse, a horse stable, and a village. First up is going to be a doghouse with all the different dog colors. I used dark oak because it's fancy and I got to work. Apparently there's a bug that causes puppies to teleport to you whenever they grow up, and so there are 2 dogs in this wheat field now. I found one, but I can hear the other one, but I just can't find him. Oh well. I made a rainbow carpet path to the doghouse, and then I covered up the mess I made outside the wall. I like how it turned out. I harvested all my farms, and I was going to add a stained clay floor to the Sky Limit Lodge, but I found out you can't stain terracotta, you have to find the stained version naturally in the mesa. So I put that one on hold. Next up on the refugee camper form is the horse stable. I want something big and grand to fill up all this empty space inside the walls. I laid down a foundation and then started building. Six stables with 2 deluxe ones for the horses I'll actually be using. It's got an upper floor that's useless honestly, but I felt bad just leaving it empty. Giant nether brick roof and dark oak floors, feeling real premium. And then the nature decor on the outside, oh yeah, banger build. Austin could live in the deluxe one for now, but in reality he sucks, so he won't be there for too long. Next, I took a break to harvest some trees, and then decided to expand the grove for the new tree types. Also, I found this cool little area outside the grove that I want to turn into a nature garden later. It's already set up for a waterfall, and it's a pretty nice area. I started clearing land for the new grove, and then went into the caves just to light them up. It's never just for lighting them up. After that caving side quest, I cleared and flattened out the area, and then started setting everything up. I grew some dark oak trees in the designated dark oak department, and used fortune on the leaves to maximize sapling profit margins. I made a path and outlined the planting spots for the dark oak. I planted acacia, giant spruce, and giant jungle trees, and then bone milled big trees to make sure they would actually grow. I admired my work on this hilltop, and then the week came to a close. I was in the mood for some adventure, so I filled out the southern and southeastern maps. I mostly found more of the same, but I did come across some swamp flowers, a cool birch forest, and a big ocean. I took a break to tame some horses, and when I found a better one than Austin, I left him in a pit in the middle of nowhere. I'll name this new horse Zap, as per my girlfriend's request. Earlier, I found a forest fire happening in a dark oak forest, and I put it out to save the trees. So, when I saw a forest fire happening in a birch forest, I let it happen, because the birch trees deserved to burn. Afterwards, I ran across this cool witch hut on this hill overlooking the swamp. It's a really cool spot for this generate, and I would totally build something here if I had the resources on me. Very cool world, Jen. I got the southern map filled out and started on the southeastern one. I had to create the map in the middle of the ocean, which was a big headache. On top of that, once I did have the map created, there was this horrible desync lag with my boat, so I kept having to relog until eventually it crashed my game. After the crash though, everything ran smoothly. I was out here mapping the ocean in hopes of finding a mushroom biome, but I wasn't lucky enough to find one here. Once I had it all mapped out, I stopped at the mesa to do some terracotta mining. I marked out a 16 by 16 chunk and then just started excavating it down layer by layer. I mined until my inventory was full and then headed home. I deposited everything into the chest and then admired the map. Then I decided to save the last refugee in the camp, good old Dr. Treoris. There's this village I found back in 1.1 that I've always wanted to convert into a nice town, and this is the perfect reason to do that. I went looking for where I thought it was and spent 20 minutes wandering around, completely confused on where it was, until eventually I went back to the February 1 Year 1 World video and found out it was past the low desert in the south. I had been looking in the north. Whoops. I headed over there and sure enough, there it was. You can even see the desert town from here, which is neat. Time to get to work. There's a big ravine that needs to be villager proofed, and I want to make a wall to protect them, decorate their houses, and make a castle on top of that overlooking hill. I forgot to record, but I put a fence around the ravine to stop any suicidal villagers, and then lit up all the houses and made everything villager accessible. Then I lit up the town some more and gave the low-income housing an actual floor instead of dirt. Next I made a pathway up to the mountain where I want to build a castle, and I stood there and thought about where I wanted to build the wall. Then, I dove off the cliff and down into the lake. One of the simple joys of Minecraft. I swam to shore and then got to work on the wall. I made this villager mineshaft and added a window to the low-income housing. How thoughtful of me. I made a fence around the lake and then started adding stair supports. But I need more stone. I got back after the resupply trip and finished the wall, adding a top walkway with these little castle things, which I looked up and they're called the Merlins. After the wall was done, I lit everything up, double checked the villager proofing, and then started on the castle pathway. I added this diving board and then cleared out an area for the castle. I turned this chunk of floating dirt into a fighter jet because I felt like it. It's always fun to do a little building side quest just because you want to, even if it doesn't make that much sense. After filling in the roof because it was snowing, I got to decorating the interior. I added a second floor with a covered area and a bedroom inside. On the roof, I added these little rafters with skylights that I really like. I packed up some stuff to take with me on the trip home, and while at home, I grabbed some pumpkins and some flowers to take back to the village. I got back and made an iron golem to defend the village. I'll name him Jerry. I filled in the rest of the wheat farm and added a little farm shack. Then I went up to the castle and made some flower beds, which really fills out the empty walls. The castle is now finished, and I like how it turned out. I made a big flag on top of the mountain, and then I found these 2 secret pumpkins that I put in the waterfall garden. Finally, I made a chicken statue and a horse stable in the village before packing up my things and heading home. 1.8, or the Bountiful update, added ocean monuments, stained glass, the ugly stone variants, new enchanting, armor stands, banners, and more. I'm not fully done with the village yet. I still need to decorate the houses and make a road over there so I can transport Dr. Treor to the minecart track. But I'm going to take a break for now. I want to go find an ocean monument. But first, I headed over to the Blaze Farm to try out the new, well, what is now the normal, enchanting. From what I can tell, it's the same as it was in regard to what enchants you get and what levels you get. It's just that now it doesn't take away all 30 levels, and also requires lapis. Also, anvil combining is way cheaper now and is actually useful. I sat at the Blaze Farm for some XP, and then I went home to combine some old tools, and now I have a pimpin' set of tools and armor. I can use a fresh pickaxe to fully heal an old insta-mining pickaxe, finally giving a use to this old diamond tool graveyard I have collected. I made some mineral towers and thought about how nice it would be to have a giant tower to overlook the land. Plus, it would be useful for the elytra next month. Future building idea, I think. Anyways, it's time to raid an ocean monument. I got everything ready and then headed north in search of an ocean monument. There's an ocean just north of my road, and I'm hoping that it will connect to a new ocean with a monument. Guess not. I made a map anyways and filled out a little before I saw this giant lava waterfall mountain, and I decided to land and just head north until I found a monument. I also realized I added bunnies in this update. Cool. After not too long, I got to this desert with an ocean that looked pretty promising. There it is. I made a little camp on a nearby island to house Zap and organize my inventory. Then I entered the monument. The guardians do significant damage, and it's very dark, and I move very slowly. But the whole monument can be defeated with doors and torches, so it's not that bad. I found the Elder Guardians, and after using the unstoppable spruce door strat, I had conquered the monument. I looked around for the sponge room and waited in there until my mining fatigue wore off. I harvested all the sponge, which will be useful for the guardian farm I want to make later. Then I went back to the island and headed home. On the way back, I came across a second temple, which might be useful in the future, so I marked the coordinates and continued on. When I got back, I realized that, as I suspected, the maps weren't aligning again. Whatever, it won't be so bad once I have the elytra next month. There's still a lot more things I wanted to accomplish this month, but I'm just out of time. I was really excited to play these updates this month, but I was just very busy. But hey, it is what it is. Anyways, that's going to be it for 1 year, 1 world May. See you guys next month, and thank you for watching.